now. All right. Hopefully we can muddle through this damp, wet, nasty week of right before Christmas. It is once again Falcons Hate Week. Welcome again, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, to another exciting episode of Under the Dome. This is Jedi versus Sith time. We have to put an end to the Sith. And the Sith in this case is the Atlanta Falcons. Once again, they managed to find a way to win their playoff hopes and division championship title hopes alive by surviving Tampa Bay because an official decided to play Inspector Clouseau, the Peter Sellers, not the Steve Martin version, stumble all over the place while the clock is running down to the final second. So Tampa had to rush out there and try and kick a game-tying field goal, and it was a disaster, as you would expect. The only thing missing from that whole sequence is the Benny Hill music. And, you know, has managed to pull off something like 6 or 7 wins out of the 10 games this season or 12 games this season. 6 or 7 wins by one score, maybe 10 wins by one score, all because of at the last minute, whether it's, you know, the Bears throwing an incompletion team, or the Lions player getting tackled just short of the goal line, or 2 weeks ago, Drew Brees throwing the interception that a better pass, or had he thrown to someone else, we very well could have won that game too. I mean, this luck has to end sometime. We'll talk about that and a lot more. Right now, my partner, who's a little under the weather today, Sean Williams. How you doing tonight, Sean?
Well, yeah, I'm getting there, buddy. Not as you said, I'm not feeling capital, but we're gonna make it. I still got strength to hate the Atlanta Falcons.
We'll have on my deathbed, I'll probably extend a middle finger at the Atlanta Falcons if someone mentions.
You better believe it. Real quick, we want to invite everyone to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and iTunes. We're gaining subscribers by the week, and that's fantastic. We appreciate and love you all. Thank you so much. I hope everybody can hear me tonight. My voice isn't. I'm lucky to have what I got. We're just gonna kind of try to roll with it. Fan First Productions for being our sponsor and helping us to put on this this wonderful show. So, Alan, we in the blurb on our YouTube account, it says after them maybe the most underwhelming win of the season. Do you think that would be an appropriate description for the Jets game?
You know, I was thinking about this. I little weekly good, bad, and ugly. I posted that winning ugly is better than losing pretty. I was thinking about, you know, the 72 Dolphins, and they would talk about going over corrections in the film room and so forth, and they would walk out of there saying, "Man, did we lose that game? You know, did it felt like we lost that game?" And I think that's how people felt watching that Jets game. It was like we were always in the lead. We were up by at least 10 points. The closest I think they ever got was at one point it was 4 points, and then Mark Ingram runs off that big run to seal the game, so once again pushes it back up to 12 or something to that effect. But no, I'm sorry, it was 5 points, not 4, because they went for 2 points, and the 2-point conversion, they missed it. But it was one of those games where you felt like if you keep letting this team hang around and hang around and hang around, eventually they're going to come back and bite you in the ass, because they weren't awful, but they weren't good enough to win. So, yeah, I
I
think a lot
agree.
of people felt like we didn't play well enough to win that game. We should have dominated
I
it, and we just didn't do
I
it.
think I think this Jets game, for at least speaking on my own behalf, for me, the Jets game is just an extension of what I saw in the Redskins game, what I saw in the Carolina game. Uh, you have these teams, and to a certain extent, 11 days ago in Atlanta, positioned to lob their heads off and be done with them, to kill them off, and you let them just keep hanging around and keep hanging around, keep hanging around. Well, eventually that's going to turn around and bite us in the butt. Um,
Yeah,
and point in time, uh, in terms of the playoffs, where it only takes one of those to be doing exit physicals and doing exit paperwork rather than preparing for the next team up.
yeah, we lose these next two games, and we could very well be outside looking in on the playoffs. So you have to win
Sure.
these two. When you win these two, you win the division. But you lose these two, you could very well miss the playoffs. And if you lose this Sunday, but win against Tampa, even though you're 11, even though you'll be 11-5, you are probably at the number 6 seed in the playoffs. That means you're playing all your playoff games on the road. Um, it's tough because there was a few things that went wrong. And Drew Brees talked about this in his post-game press conference. Of course, the two Brandon Coleman fumbles were critical because in both cases, they're in the red zone. In both cases, you're coming away with at least 3, if not 2 touchdowns out of that. So, those hurt because that's the kind of thing that keep the Jets hang around. And those are the kind of mistakes that will cost you against a team like Atlanta and a team like thank you. A team like Atlanta or a team like the Rams or the Eagles or even the Vikings, who you may see in the playoffs. But here's the thing about it, though. In some ways, we kept waiting. This has been an awful tradition with the Saints, but in some ways, we kept waiting for that clunker game. If you think about in 2009, what was our clunker game? The game where we came out flat. We came out flat against the Cowboys on a Saturday night, and we lost that game. And that's after we won 13 games in a row. Some people could say, yeah, the Tampa game we came out flat, but the Tampa game was really more of we made a lot of mistakes in that game, including missing a field goal to win it. It was like a Jets kind of game that season. Prior to that, when we played the Rams in 2011, we had that clunker game where we just looked terrible and we lost the game. When we played that was 2013. I'm thinking 2013 was the one we had the I Seen Enough game, and that was another clunker game against the Rams. We always seem to have that one game where you're like, how in the hell do you lose to a team like that? And I think this was our clunker game because you had a very emotional Falcons game Thursday night, 10 days off. You've got another emotional Atlanta game waiting for you on Sunday. And I'm not saying that we're looking ahead, but I think their minds weren't totally focused on stopping the Jets because they're looking, well, we got Bryce Petty at quarterback. They got one receiver, maybe 2. And they've got one running back who really can do some damage. But overall, we should beat these guys. And they kind of played like, okay, any minute now, they're going to make that mistake, and we're just going to roll over them. And it just never happened that way. Not, of course, to the very end. So it may sound like I'm trying to spin this, but I'm not. It's just, it felt like this was going to be the game where they just really played. They were due to play this badly because of the Falcons looming ahead. So I don't know. It may be wishful thinking. I found that we saw a big weakness that Sunday against the Jets that we're going to have to address in the offseason. We can't fix it this year. And that was if you sell out against the run to stop the Saints, any receiver named Michael Thomas is not going to be good enough to beat you. Michael Thomas is the only receiver that can beat you. Now, granted, Ted Ginn wasn't playing in that game, but Willie Snead, Brandon Coleman, and Tommy Lee Lewis just simply are not good enough weapons for the Saints, and the tight end position is a mess. Without having Kobe Fleener in there, you're really undermanned in the passing game, and you're expecting a lot out of Drew Brees to play a last team with the ball wins the game kind of game every week now. You're going to have to rely on the running game to do this. And the good news is, though, last week 2 weeks ago against the Falcons, we held them to 20 points. Last week against the Jets, we held them to 19 points. Offense is playing at the level it's capable of playing. And I'm just talking about the 2017 offense, not the historical Breeze Saints offense. The 2017 offense, if they can play, we can expect them to play. And that is with a healthy Pete, a healthy Warford at guard, Armstead in there. If they can play at that level, we can win with our ground game and scheming guys open. We can win these last two games against the Falcons and the Bucs, and we probably can win a playoff game against whoever it is we play at home, and then let's just see where it goes from there. The Eagles don't scare me anymore with Nick Foles. The Vikings do. The Rams do and they don't. I felt in Los Angeles we did enough mistakes to keep the Rams, let the Rams win that game. I think with a healthy Marshawn Lattimore, I think with a healthy Ken Crawley, we can control that Rams passing game better. And I think we can run the ball better against that team because we would have a healthier offensive line playing in that game. I don't think they could stop Kamara all day. They really couldn't. So,
not without taking a cheap shot to the head.
No. And that's what happens, though. But that's what happens in the playoffs. Now, suddenly, it goes to that next level. Can Sean McVay with the Rams and Jared Goff take it to that next level? I don't know if they can. They're not. I don't know if they're quite ready for that.
And see, that's my thing with
the. But that's way in the future.
That's my thing with the Rams and Goff. That's my thing with the Vikings and Keenum. Done a fantabulous job during the course of the season in finding ways to win these games. Playoffs, everybody's good. You've got to up your game to the next level. Mm-hmm. And they have no experience at doing that. At least in the case of the Vikings, the only alternative they have is to take Keenum out and put their franchise guy, who at this point is who? Bradford?
No.
Bridgewater? Well, you have absolutely no chemistry there with that quarterback.
Have better receivers, and they have a better offensive line, and they have a good, solid, very good, solid defensive front.
Sure.
Win most games playing an ugly kind of game. Let's just see how this season plays out. My focus right now is Sunday.
Yeah.
And then when, next Sunday, the day after New Year's. New Year's is Monday. So New Year's Eve. Let's win New Year's Eve.
Day before New Year's.
And is it before New Year's? Are we playing on a Saturday? Or are we playing on a Sunday? I don't remember. I don't have the schedule in front of me right now. But I know we play Christmas Eve, so we probably play New Year's Eve too.
Right now, the only thing that I'm concerned with is bring the wood.
Mm-hmm.
I want blood. There again, to quote my buddy Sean Fox, I want blood for Christmas. I want blood. I want body parts. I want guts. The whole 9 yards. I want to end the Falcons' season. I want them to walk out of that Superdome knowing it's over because the Saints took it away from us.
Well, here's the thing. We win that game. Now suddenly, that final game of the season against Tampa, when the Falcons play the Panthers, that is a free-for-all where you have a desperate Falcons team fighting for their playoff lives, and the loser goes to play whoever's going to be the third seed. And let's say, for the sake of argument right now, the third seed is going to be the Rams. So the loser goes to play the Rams, and the winner, assuming we win these next two games, the winner goes to New Orleans to play the Saints. That's what we're looking at, so that's what I'm looking forward to. So let's just treat this like a playoff game, win this game, get it over with, make the Atlanta Falcons worry about surviving next week against the Panthers. And we just go on and just kick the shit out of a Tampa team that's ready to go home for the winter, But that's what I want to see. And then, we'll see where the playoff seasons go from there.
I'm not the slightest bit concerned about playoffs or seeds or any of that. The only thing I'm concerned with right now is beating the Atlanta Falcons. And when that's over with, I want to worry about beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And whatever happens, regardless of how much we worry about it now before it gets here or not. So there's no point in it. I mean, it's wasted motion.
It is, but I just want to win.
That's almost the same as worrying about who's going to be the wide receiver that we take in the third round of but that's another story for another time.
Well, that is something we're going to have to address.
Considering that we don't even know the draft order yet, let's just on that.
Here's the thing. Here's the other thing that we were concerned that the Saints against the Jets for about a quarter and a half looked very flat, especially the third quarter. Looked very flat against them, and it seemed like the Jets had the ball the whole third quarter. They got very little points out of it, and they were beating us by pinning us deep and giving us bad field position. Keep in mind,
and we were running 3 and out.
Yeah, because for one thing, Pete was out after the interception by Breeze. We lost Warford, so now we've got Laribus there at guard. So now Breeze is looking at shorter passes to get rid of the ball, and the Jets were sitting on those short routes. So that's a lot of the reasons why we went 3 and out. There was 2 plays in particular. If you look back at the tape, you can see it. I thought really defined some of the problems that we had on Sunday against the Jets. One of them, Breeze does like a little rollout because it's a breakdown, okay? His primary read is gone. Secondary read is covered. He does like a little rollout. And I'm watching, because I was at the game, I'm watching Zach Line is behind the defense. running essentially. He looks like he ran a wheel route, but he's really kind of going along the sideline, almost like a rail or a 9 route out of that. Okay, so he's running this little route, and Breeze starts pointing at him. Go, go. Well, line, I guess, thought somebody was behind him, didn't do what he was supposed to do. Breeze throws the ball, essentially throws the ball where line should be going. If line takes off running, because the defensive back kind of passes him off because it's like, oh, it's just a fullback. He's not going to do anything. Line has got nothing but green grass as far as he can see. That's an 80-yard touchdown, 80-plus yard touchdown right there. Line doesn't run the route. He kind of pulls up and jogs. The ball goes past where he should have been, and it's an incomplete pass. That's second down. Third down, same drive. Breeze throws to Kamara. Kamara gets behind the defense. Kind of has to twist because he's not really looking quite right for the ball, but he kind of twists, and the ball comes in, hits him on the chest. He doesn't get a good grip on it, and it bounces away. That's third down, incomplete pass. Again, he gets behind the defense. If he's in a better position to catch the ball, could catch that ball in stride. Once again, he's going 80-plus yards to a touchdown. Once again, suddenly the score looks a lot better. Suddenly the game feels a lot better. And there were several plays like that. I saw several instances where we just miss a block, or we just miss a throw, or Breeze doesn't see somebody who's running open. And that's kind of what we're seeing. So it makes us look worse than we really are. It doesn't do us any good. We still miss those plays. We still made those mistakes. And we could be talking about a playoff game, and that was the difference why we lost the playoff game. That's why I'm saying it's just not a case of the Saints not being good enough. It's the Saints not executing good enough.
That's it.
And until we start executing better, like we were in that winning streak, that's why the fans will feel the way they feel about, a game like the Jets game where we just didn't look good.
Like I said, my concerns are an extension of what I've been seeing leading up to this. If we don't find a way to learn how to finish these teams off, we're never going to succeed in the playoffs. And, God very well may be like everyone has been saying, this Saints team is please excuse me. This Saints team is a year away or 2 years away. I hope not. I'm not a patient person. I want to see it now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be lessons learned. I think that you have a young enough core of players that the time is now. If you're going to strike while the iron is hot, the time is very much right now.
Well, again, you go back 2 weeks ago, the Atlanta Falcons game. Despite we talked all about the penalties and our suspicion about the penalties, the fact is we did commit them. They were all mental mistakes that are correctable. If we can avoid beating ourselves with penalties, and we did more stupid penalties Sunday, if we can avoid the stupid penalties, if we can avoid the misfires in execution and look crisper, there's no way we should lose to Atlanta, because I've watched Atlanta. I watched us play Atlanta. Losing 9 people and we still take it down to the wire and get in position to win that game shows me that Atlanta's got a lot of weapons. Atlanta's really flashy. Julio Jones is scary, but Matt Ryan's going to throw those interceptions. They're going to make those mistakes. They're going to do those things that's going to cost them games. So that's the key. We have to make them make the mistakes, and we don't make the mistakes. We don't make the mistakes. We win the game. We don't make the mistakes against the Jets. Don't put the ball down on don't put the ball down on the ground twice, Coleman. We win that game by a large margin. That's at least 6, to me, 14 points.
Sure.
And you win that game, you score 31 points and not look very good doing it, you're a good team. That's just how I see it.
Well, like you just said, Coleman fumbled uncharacteristic for him, but he fumbled twice in the red zone in that game. Once at, I want to say,
his first 2 fumbles of his career.
Inside of the 10, and then another that was just inside the 20.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to believe the way that those drives were going before those plays, that the Saints would have been able to roll them in.
Absolutely.
But that's part of to be a really good team. You have to deal with adversity, and that's all a part of it.
Exactly. And they did. I mean, they dealt with it. The Jets got really nothing out of those turnovers. So
we surrendered 3 turnovers on Sunday to the Jets, and it cost us a total of 3 points.
Yeah, exactly.
When have you ever seen us play anybody that we lost the turnover battle 3-1 and we won the game 31-19?
Well, we got 2 turnovers, but yeah, I get your point, because Marshawn Lattimore got that last interception at the very end of the game, and that was a big play. Just to seal it.
Marshawn had to pad that Pro Bowl resume.
Hey, yeah, we can talk about that right now.
Announcement, Alan.
We can talk about that right now. 6 Saints made the Pro Bowl today. Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram, Cam Jordan, Michael Thomas, and Marshawn Lattimore.
And one alternate.
And yeah, one alternate. Chris Banjo, I believe, is expected to be named as an alternate for special teams. Here's the thing I noticed about that Pro Bowl roster. Who do we have on there? Okay. You've got Breeze, who's the perennial All-Pro for the team. Both first-round draft choices in 2011. The only draft picks are still with the Saints. Ingram and Jordan. But what do you have after that? Michael Thomas, 2016. Marshawn Lattimore, 2017. Alvin Kamara, 2017. Shows you the kind of, what kind of job now that Jeff Ireland is doing, finding these players for the draft, and what kind of team we are building. These are young players that are building blocks for the future. This team is going to be good for the long term, not like in 2009 to 2011, where we had an older roster full of a lot of free agents. Because I think the 2009 team had the most Pro Bowl players in Saints history. It was Breeze, Vilma, Sharper, Jonathan Goodwin, Jari Evans, Roman Harper, and John Stitchcomb. And of those 7, only Harper, Stitchcomb, and Evans were actual draft picks by the Saints. And Harper and Evans were 2006. So they were the youngest of those draft picks, with Stitchcomb 2004. I'm sorry, it was 2003, not 2004. Yeah. Yes. I'm going to go back even further. 2002. That was the year we traded Ricky Williams away. So we got 2 first-round picks. So, yeah, Stitchcomb was a second-round pick, in 2002. So, wow. Yeah, so it was an older Pro Bowl roster than this one is. So that's a huge difference. Um, the Saints' best days are still to come. That's what I see out of this Pro Bowl roster because these are all very impactful players. These are players that are helping this team win 10 games. I was very happy with this list.
Well, I think that it's a major thing it in terms of finally guys that have been yeah buts, and by that I mean Cameron Jordan is having a heck of a season. Yeah, but he plays on the Saints.
Yeah.
Just throwing for 5,000. Yeah, but they finished the season 7-9. These guys are finally getting the recognition that they deserve, and I think it's long overdue.
I'm just want to look real quick. I believe it was last year and 2015 when we had nobody go to the Pro Bowl for the Saints. All right,
I think it was a couple of years there,
Drew Brees
15, 14.
Drew Brees was named as an alternate in 2014 and 2016. So, but he was the only one. Oh, Jari Evans went in 2014 as well. So, I think 2015 they had nobody named to the Pro Bowl, and I'm sorry, 2015, yeah, nobody named to the Pro Bowl, and 2016, Brees went in as an alternate. So, yeah, that's it. Kind of puts an end to a drought.
You had I'm going to give you an opportunity there to pull up that interesting
that trivia
information that you had. Yeah.
Yeah, that trivia.
And while you do that, what do I need to announce while you do that?
I've got it. If you want to try to remember what you had.
I'm at this point. I'm just trying to remember what day it is. Go ahead.
Well, when I was looking at stuff, I was just curious with Ingram and Kamara going. We've sent all four linebackers, of course, to the Pro Bowl before. The Dome Patrol went, and we have sent a receiver. The last receiver we sent to the Pro Bowl prior to Michael Thomas was Joe Horn. So that means this is the first receiver under Sean Payton to go to the Pro Bowl. Drew Brees, of course, is a perennial Pro Bowl guy. He's the only other Saint to ever go to the Pro Bowl in the quarterback position is Archie Manning. But we have indeed sent a running back tandem to the Pro Bowl before, and I would have thought it was going to be Ruben Mays and Dalton Hilliard, but that didn't happen. Ruben Mays went in 86 and 87, but Dalton Hilliard didn't go until 1989. Dalton Hilliard went in 1989 when he had the 19 touchdowns or 18 touchdowns. But the last time we sent a running back tandem for the Saints to the Pro Bowl was way back in 1969. These are some names I think people like Barry Hursters, maybe Ralph Marlborough. Very few people are going to remember these names. Robert Treadway is probably somebody else. Phil Boyd. Andy Livingston and Tony Baker, the touchdown maker, were the last two running backs for the Saints from the same team to go to the Pro Bowl as a tandem. So that's a big change. I mean, most of you guys, if you look up Andy Livingston and Tony Baker, those were what they used to call big backs. They were big guys as running backs. If you look up their stats, then they don't even come up close to being 1,000-yard rusher for the Saints or anything like that. It was a different era at the time, but those two backs got to go just because they were good power backs and they were selected because of that. So yeah, Andy Livingston and Tony Baker were the last two backs to go. The other running backs, of course, to go to the Pro Bowl for the Saints, Chuck Muncie in 79, breaking almost a 10-year run. George Rogers went back-to-back years. Ruben Mays went back-to-back years. 81 and 82 for Rogers, 86 and 87 for Mays. Deuce McAllister went in 2002, 2003. This is Ingram's second trip to the Pro Bowl. He went in 2014, missed in 2015, 2016, but he's got it this year. Dalton Hilliard only went 1 year in '89. What else? Defensive backs. That was the other one I was noting. Yeah, I knew there was one I forgot. Marshawn Lattimore is the first defensive back for the Saints to go in 30 years. Eric Allen went in 95, but I don't really count Eric Allen going in 95. He went on reputation. He did not have a good 1995 season. That's one of those guys where you look at it and go, really? How the hell did he get there? But to me, in 87, our first winning season, Dave Wimmer actually deserved to go as a starting cornerback. So Marshawn Lattimore is the first starting cornerback since really Dave Wimmer to really earn it on the field for being a great defensive back.
And you know what Dave Wimmer is doing for himself now?
Dave Wimmer's dead.
No, wait a minute. Who am I thinking about that's coaching the Cowboys? He was
was a defensive back for the Saints?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Dave Wimmer died of a cocaine overdose, though. He was a cokehead. Let's see, Cowboys.
No wonder he made the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
He got there 2 years before the rest of them. Anyway, moving right along. I've alienated the sober part of our audience.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, for the sake of our buddy Calvin Griffin, don't bring Roll Tide in on our private chat here.
You know who you're thinking of? Greg Jackson, who was a safety for the Saints.
That's not him.
That's not him, because he was a safety for the Saints.
Wimmer.
Way back in 1996, he was when they brought in all the ex-Eagles. They brought in Greg Jackson, Mark McMillan, and Eric Allen, all in that same time period. So,
one of them was the connection, and the other two were the users. So, I don't know who it was. Dave Wimmer wasn't the one then, but as of 2, maybe 3 seasons ago, he was coaching defensive backs at Dallas.
Okay. I have to think about that for a while. The next thing
that's going to drive me crazy until I look it up.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, the other defensive backs that have all gone, we have mostly sent safeties to the Pro Bowl. Sammy Knight, Roman Harper, Darren Sharper, Tommy Myers. Those are the guys we've traditionally sent to the Pro Bowl. It's a huge deal. Huge deal to send Lattimore.
It is.
Huge deal to send Michael Thomas, because those are two guys that's positions where, if you look at the Saints cornerback position throughout their history, it is a giant black hole of despair. You can name the very fact that Dave Witzel, who did go to the Pro Bowl as a Saint way back in '67, still holds the team record for most interceptions in a season, with 10. And he is one of 4 defensive backs for the Saints, 4 cornerbacks, to ever go to the Pro Bowl. It's depressing. You look at defensive linemen, for example. We've had a ton of them go to the Pro Bowl. Will Smith, Joe Johnson, Cameron Jordan, Wayne Martin, Bruce Clark, Ronaldo Turnbull, Leroy Glover. We've sent a lot of Pro Bowlers just on the defensive line. Of course, the linebackers, even the linebackers that you guys may not remember have gone to the Pro Bowl for the Saints. Guys like Keith Mitchell, Mark Fields, they've all gone to the Pro Bowl as Saints players, as well as the Dome Patrol. But, we've had almost as many punters go to the Pro Bowl as we had defensive cornerbacks.
That's because our punters got more work than the
Yeah,
cornerbacks did.
you had Brian Hansen, Mitch Berger, and Thomas Morstead all go to the Pro Bowl as punters. I mean, it's a sad, sad affair. Um, Receivers, real quick. These are all trivia questions. Receivers, real quick. They've gone to the Pro Bowl. Um, as I said, Joe Horn was the last one to go. Prior to that, you had Eric Martin, Wes Chandler,
From Van
and
Vliet,
Danny
Texas.
Abramowitz. And Danny Abramowitz all go as wide receivers. Now, Michael Lewis went listed as a wide receiver, but he really went as a kick returner, just like Tyrone Hughes is listed as a cornerback, but he really went as a kick returner. He didn't go in as because of his cornerback play. I mean, it's just it's funny. We had this long stretch. 67 and 69, we were sending guys to the Pro Bowl. Then from 1970 to 1978, we don't send a soul to the Pro Bowl. 78, Archie Manning goes. 79, we actually sent the most in team history at that time. We sent 5, and we tie that once we get to the Jim Mora era with Dome Patrol, and then we sent 6 in 2000. We sent 7 in 2009, and once again we've sent 6. So all Pro Bowl trivia for the Saints. You okay over there?
Yeah, man. I'm looking at our live chat, and we have some bloodthirsty people, man.
What are they screaming about? Am I talking too much?
No, let there be blood at the Dome.
Oh.
Revenge Week on those dirty, filthy, expletive deleted, expletive deleted, expletive deleted, expletive deleted birds.
What is it we used to cheer? What is it we used to cheer in football? Blood makes the grass grow.
Blood makes the grass grow. Kill.
Yeah. We want the Rodney Dangerfield approach to playing defense from back to school. Our defense was so tough. After they sacked the quarterback, they went after his family. I mean, that's what you need. Back to School, truly a classic film.
Yes, indeed.
It's
I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it for the same reason that you do. But my all-time favorite comedian made his debut in Back to School.
Sam Kinison.
Ow! I can't do it now, but yeah, that would be him.
I saw Sam Kinison, and we're going to really veer off here. The first time First time I saw Sam Kinison was there was a special on HBO. It was a bunch of comedians together, and Sam Kinison was one of the last ones to go on. And if you ever
the Young Comedians Show,
yeah, if you ever remember it, that's the guy who does the Football Is My Life one. There's a bunch of good skits in there, and Sam Kinison just was killing me with the whole everything about it, his whole routine. But this thing about here you are at Thanksgiving, about to eat some food, and they show this hungry child, and it's just, how can you sit there in your air-conditioned home with a plate full of food while little Haji out here, is starving to death? And he says, and I'm thinking to myself the whole time, the camera guy did get a sandwich. And then he does the whole bit about, pack your shit. We have deserts in America. We don't live in them. Pack your shit. We'll bring you food
living in the desert.
Yeah,
living in the desert.
Come here. See this? This is sand.
This is sand.
This is sand. It's going to be the 1,000 years. It's still going to be sand. Ah! Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There, over the course of my life, there have been 2 comedians that I have enjoyed the work of to such a point as when I found out that three comedians that when they passed away, I cried. That was Sam Kinison, Robin Williams, and Richard Pryor.
Oh yeah, those are three great ones.
Yeah.
Greatest routines I ever saw. I still have two of Sam Kinnison's albums, but his little song he sang about his girlfriend. His girlfriend broke up with him. Yeah, he says it's something. He says went through all my cash, and the girlfriend says, there's something missing in the relationship. And he goes, it wouldn't be the cash, would it? But that album, Richard Pryor Live in Concert from 1979 is just one of my all-time favorites.
Live on the Sunset Strip.
Well, go to the 79 one where Patti LaBelle opens for him and he does the whole thing about his dad taking him hunting. Oh my God. That has got to be one of my all-time favorite routines. Monkeys. And then he had then they had Robin Williams live at the Met. That's a classic routine. So that's, if you can find
the early there, to my knowledge, there were only three for Kinison. There was his first one, and then
Have You Seen Me?
That was his last one, not including compilation things that were done. Now Robin Williams could walk on screen and I could hyperventilate. I used to love watching this show. I want to say on A&E, but it's called Inside the Actor's Studio.
Oh, yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
Robin Williams was on that one night. They had to break the film up into 3 different segments to be able to use it, because he stood up and got a woman's scarf from the front row and did 20 minutes of improv with a scarf.
Yes, I have seen that. That is very good. That is very good.
Not that I condone or promote it, but for all those people that said cocaine will never do anything for you, I give you Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Okay. I went too far.
I always like the one after 9/11 where he went on the whole thing and he mentioned the taxi cab drivers, and that's when the crowd went boo. And he's like, "Oh, it took that joke to get y'all to respond." But anyway, there's a lot of comedians that I've seen over the years, and in fact, that's what we used to do a long time ago in college. My friends were residence hall counselors, and if they were on duty, we just pop in comedy tapes or watch comedy shows on HBO, and just kill ourselves laughing, just drinking and watching that, just killing ourselves laughing at those things. So, there was a lot of funny.
I used to pride myself on being a lead singer in a rock and roll band, and I went to these comedians because I felt so awkward doing my little stage rap in between each song. So I thought, hey, let me make them laugh. And invariably, I'd always screw the joke up. And it wasn't funny. It was just uneasy.
There was so many routines and I remember the dialogue from. I still use a lot of those jokes today. Okay. So we talked about the Pro Bowl, getting back to this. I think that we do shift gears Sunday, and I'm going to be a lot more focused as a divisional game. I think that's one of those kind of games that, Sean Payton talked about that. We're in a round robin routine here. We Atlanta just played Tampa. Carolina plays Tampa this week. We play Atlanta. And then the season ends with Carolina and Atlanta playing each other. We play Tampa, so they know we're in a tournament right now, and it's like musical chairs, and who's going to sit where when it's all over with. So it's hard to focus on playing a bad team like the Jets when you've got this in front of you, and you have to win those games. I think that game Thursday night in Atlanta left a bad taste in the team's mouth. I think they're going to be a lot more focused. I think they're going to play a lot better, and I think they beat the Falcons by 10. I really do. I don't think it's going to be as close to the game as traditional Saints-Falcons games have been, because I think the Saints are just going to be that much more focused, that much better. A lot of more, for one thing, it's like be sucking air in every other series. Crawley's going to be playing much better. I know A.J. Klein got put on injured reserve today. That was the other big news out of Saints camp. And the rumor is the dreaded sports hernia is what put him up, has got him on injured reserve. I was worried about that with a linebacker and a cornerback. A groin injury is very bad because, especially in Klein's case, he's got to be able to turn and run, and that's just aggravating it over and over and over again. I have to say, we are at the very minimum now of linebackers that we can afford to lose. We're going to see a lot of Manti Te'o again. Manti Te'o is improving as a cover linebacker. He's still a weakness. He's still a mismatch, but I'm impressed with how he's improving more snaps that he's got out there. He shows a good knack when he sees a running play happen. He shows a good knack to attack that hole and get in there. Robertson has been the unsung hero in the defense. He struggled a little bit early last Sunday, but he got better as the game went along. And again, I think the teams that we could be facing, Manti Te'o is not going to be a detriment. He's not going to be a weakness as a two-down linebacker with limited coverage skills, because look at the teams you're probably going to be facing in the playoffs. Carolina, running team. Atlanta, running team. Minnesota, still a running team. The Rams have Todd Gurley. The Eagles have Jay Adai. It's guys that, you want a linebacker like Manti Te'o out there to match up with some of these backs, because he has the instinctive ability to read a play, get in the hole, make a tackle. If he doesn't make the tackle, at least force the back to run wide or run back into the teeth of the defense where, someone else can make the play. We have our secondary is healthy. That's huge. Our front seven, Cam Jordan, is playing at an all-pro level. And we're actually seeing that with John Hughes, Breakfast Club guy, David Onyemata, Davidson, Yachts and Rankins being kicked out to the end and then coming inside on some plays. You're not seeing – you're not as good as you were with Okafor, but you're not having this gaping hole like you had last year with the guy from the Browns trying to play that defensive end spot. The Saints are able to Kruger. The Saints are able to manipulate the roster so you may lose on a down, but you're not getting gashed all game. They are doing a much better job of putting people in positions to make plays and to do things. I even saw Muhammad out there for a few plays last week. You saw that guy George Johnson out there helping out, making a couple stops, limited snaps. Michael Marty, he's a special teams linebacker. You limit his snaps by playing maybe Kenny Vaccaro down further in the box and only putting Marty in when you absolutely have to rotate so somebody can get a breather. You're seeing the Saints are doing a much better job of managing their players and keeping the defense out of getting exposed like they were last year, where you just didn't have enough players out there to disguise and hide people's weaknesses. So that's, to me, that's the positive. If there is a positive, it's why we won 10 games and not this time last year, 6-8, trying to get to 8-8 and ended up 7-9 again. You're seeing we're playing just well enough, and a lot of positions are showing more depth and more improvement in a lot of positions where we can still win games. These guys, yes, they're a weakness, but they're not dragging our entire defense down. They're not dragging our entire offense down, and I think that's an optimistic way of looking at it. But I think that we're going to see the Saints will win these next two games because of that.
Well, let me ask you this: in terms of not necessarily trying to forecast by any means, but in interest of just taking a perspective look. I've heard this said, I've heard that said. I want us to have a clear and defined idea of exactly what we're looking at. If Sunday we're basically done, is that true or not true?
Wait. Let me make sure I understand. What are you saying to me?
Okay. For the sake of this conversation, we go into this game Sunday. Atlanta beats us.
We're not done, but we lost control.
Yeah. Okay. We go in. We utterly skull drag the Falcons. We take them back out to Poydras and deposit their remains on Poydras to be picked up. But then we go into Tampa and we lay an egg there. Does that affect anything? The reason that I'm asking you these questions, Alan, is because I'm sure you do as well. We have these people that are constantly barraging us with questions on all these postseason scenarios. I want to address it on here to somewhat clear the air a little.
Okay. We went against Atlanta. We have now split with Atlanta, so that goes to the second tiebreaker, and it's now conference division wins. We lose to Tampa. We're 4-2 with Tampa and split with Atlanta. Atlanta swept Tampa. Atlanta would have to sweep Carolina, and they would go what? Let me take a look real quick and make sure I'm right on this. I think Atlanta has one loss.
Carolina already.
Atlanta lost to Carolina once already, didn't they?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. It becomes
so let it be written.
It becomes really dicey because now we're starting to go into the tiebreakers to see who wins the division. And let me see here. All right. Yeah. The Saints they have one loss in the division.
Yes.
The Falcons have one loss. No, where am I looking for? Let me go back to this because this is just telling me home and away. We swept Carolina, so if that's the case, we want Carolina to beat Atlanta. But we would need Carolina to lose this week for that to happen. Okay. The Falcons lost to the Panthers, and that's the only division loss they've got right now. They have one division loss because the other teams they lost to were the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Patriots. Oh, and the Vikings. But we've lost to the Vikings. We lost to the Patriots. We beat the Bills. We beat the Dolphins. But if we lose to the Falcons, they beat us in the tiebreaker, even though we have common opponents.
Okay.
Yeah, so it gets really dicey after that. I have to go back and
Yeah.
look at all the tiebreakers to see how it fall. But
I
you would
got
want
a
to
better idea.
you would want to end up, yeah, you want to win both games, and you want to end up, if you're going to end up tied with anybody, end up tied with Carolina, so we get the edge because we beat them head to head. So
Let's just let the bodies hit the floor and
I have to really go and look at the tiebreaker scenario. I just know if we lose to Atlanta, we've dug ourselves a big hole. We've lost control of our destiny, and then we're fighting for a playoff spot. We've probably lost the division too. No, in fact, I know we lost the division. We were swept by Atlanta.
if we don't beat Atlanta on Sunday, I don't think we deserve the playoffs. I don't
We've
think
got to beat Atlanta. Barry asked me to do this, and I'm more than willing to. This is going to be the most important Saints Atlanta game since at least 2006. The rebirth game, and prior to that, I would say the 1991 playoff game, and then prior to that, the 1979 home opener. Unfortunately, we've only won one of those three important games. We won the 2006 reopening of the Dome. In 1991, the playoff game, we beat Atlanta in Old Fulton County Stadium. We lost on Sunday Night Football in the Dome. That was the infamous Mike Buck pass. Steve Walsh came out of the game, and Mike Buck comes in, throw one big touchdown pass. But we lost on a field goal because Jim Mora played not to lose instead of playing to win. We lost that game. So then we had the rematch in the wild card round. Even though we won the division, we had lost Troy Cook. We lost Vince Buck. We're playing guys like Milton Mack and what the hell was that guy from Kansas City? Petrie was his last name. I can't think of who he was now, but he was the other cornerback. We grabbed him off the street. I mean, we're playing, we're playing with backup cornerbacks, and Michael Haynes just lights us up. We take a big lead once again. We take a lead. We dominate in the first half, but then Hebert throws an interception to prime time. Deion Sanders. That was a too legit to quit game with MC Hammer on the sideline. That's when Deion Sanders was also going by the name Neon Deion. But I remember Michael Haynes juking Milton Mack out of his shorts and just taking off for a 70-something yard touchdown pass. And we were beating the crap out of Chris Miller prior to that play. And we lost 27-20. It's unfortunately that game's on YouTube. I've tried watching it recently, and I can't get through it. I can't go through that. And then in 79, and I'll tell this story real quick. In 1979, first off, in 78, the Saints got swept by the Falcons, both on the last play of the game. Both by scores. Yeah, both by scores, 20-17. In the Dome, it was Big Ben. The Saints have the lead 20-13. I'm sorry, 17-13. They go for it on fourth down. Don't pick up the first down. Atlanta has got the ball on their side of the 50. They get one little pass, and they got just enough time for one last play. Steve Bartkowski throws his ball way up in the air. There's like three Saints defensive backs there. They all knock the ball up in the air about the 20-yard line. And little Alfred Jenkins, the Falcons wide receiver, is waiting right behind him. When they knock the ball up in the air, it goes right to him. He scoots in for a touchdown. Game over. They win 20-17. About 3 or 4 weeks later, they go to Fulton County Stadium where Atlanta used to play. Saints, once again, they're up 17-13. Falcons are driving on fourth down. They throw a pass, incomplete, but the officials rule pass interference. Grover Clemmer was his name. That's the referee. He threw the flag saying that I think Clarence Chapman had touched the interfere with the Falcons defensive back and Falcons receiver. Replay clearly showed they never even touched one another. Falcons get an untimed down. Bartkowski hits the tight end for a touchdown. They win once again, 20-17. So it's at 9-7. So people are pissed about those two games. Two freak plays. So 79 season rolls around. Schedule makers put Atlanta, the first game of the season, in the Dome. There's a pep rally. Governor Edwin Edwards shows up at the pep rally, says a few words in that Cajun accent of his, and like Superman, grabs his shirt, rips it open. He's got a T-shirt on, and it says, "I hate the Falcons." And if you, I'll post this. I should post this Thursday in the flashback. There's footage from the actual game, that opening game, and you can see some of the people, because that T-shirt sold out. I mean, everyone had this thing. I hate the Falcons T-shirt. 20,000 Falcon fans. This will never happen today. 20,000 Falcon fans get on buses and come to New Orleans to play the game, to watch the game. So the rivalry's on. Okay. Opening game, Saints are fired up. They come out between the first and second quarter. They come out. The Saints score 28 points. Chuck Muncie on a big 70-yard run. Chuck Muncie throws a halfback option pass to hit Wes Chandler for a touchdown. He scores another touchdown on an inside run. Archie Manning throws this beautiful touchdown pass to Ike Harris. They score 28. Atlanta scores 20 points. So it's 28-20 at halftime. Rest of the game, the Saints can only manage 6 points. Atlanta comes in and gets it to its 31-all, goes to overtime. Bartkowski in the first series of overtime throws an interception to Tommy Myers. Man, the place is going crazy. My parents are at this game. I'm at home. My place is going insane, because the Saints just need to go a little bit further. And the first-round draft pick from 1979, Russell Erxleben, has a chance to kick the game-winning field goal. Unfortunately, the Saints don't go anywhere, don't get in field goal range, so they got to punt. Russell Erxleben's also the punter. He's a kicker/punter. That was his big deal. That's why we had to have him in the first round. Even though we need defensive end help, we had to have Russell Erxleben in that first round. Punt sails over Russell Erxleben's head. He kind of runs after it, tries to pick it up, and is going to throw a pass. I don't know what the hell he was thinking, who the hell he's going to throw this ball to, but he throws the ball right to Atlanta Falcons linebacker. Falcons win the game 40-31 or 39. I forgot what the final score was, but no, it was 40-34 because 34-all at halftime. So because he had to kick the extra point in overtime. Win the game 40-34. Again, last second play of overtime. So yeah, that's why I hate the Falcons. Those 3 games. Those 3 games will do it for you. Oh my God!
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So this is the most important game since those games. Because
our season has come down to this. Anything that we could have hoped to accomplish by what is right now a 10-4 record, anything that we could have hoped to accomplish hinges on winning this game Sunday. I mean, we didn't want to be in this position, but yet and still here we are. It is what it is, and we have to do what we can do to make the best of it.
They were the best team in the NFC last year, so it's only fitting that we are going to have to play them to win the division. They are the defending division title team, title holders. So you got to beat the best to be the best, kind of thing. So yeah,
be the man.
I'm all for this. Even if we would have won Thursday night, the pressure would be on the Falcons to win, and we still wouldn't have the division title locked up. We would still have to win this game. So it's that important. We need this game. I think we have the talent to win this game. The only person that really scares me is Dante Freeman or Donta Freeman, because Devontae, there we go.
Yeah.
Devontae Freeman. He's the only one that really scares me because Julio Jones he's hurt, but I feel our secondary can stand up against the Falcons receivers. It's Freeman. If the Falcons can get Freeman going 100 yards and gets his touchdowns, it makes Matt Ryan a lot more deadly.
Mm-hmm.
You put this game on Matt Ryan's shoulders, and I'm sure he's going to fuck it up because that's what he does. It's just like it's the same thing with it. That's my formula for success when you play all the NFC South teams. You want to put the game on Matt Ryan's shoulders to win the game. You want to put the game on Cam Jordan's shoulders, on Cam Newton's shoulders to win the game. You want to put the game on Jameis Winston's shoulders. You don't want to put the game in the hands of their running backs because if their running backs can go crazy, it makes those quarterbacks much more deadly.
Yeah.
That's the key to beating these teams, and I think we can do it. I think if we can avoid beating ourselves with stupid penalties, and if we can not have a body bag game like we did Thursday, we can handle Freeman, limit his destruction, limit his effectiveness, and make Matt Ryan throw those interceptions, make Matt Ryan make the bad mistakes that he can make. It's just the way that they do these things. You saw that Monday night against Tampa. That's just what they do.
Yeah.
It's who they are. It's who they are. They have a fatal flaw, and they're going to expose it. So that's my prediction. I think we're going to win by 10. I don't know what the score is going to be, but I think we're going to win by 10.
Well, I predicted we were going to score the last time that we played. When we played Carolina, I said 31-17, and it was 31-20. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I missed it by 2 points. But then last week I said we were going to win 44-10.
Yeah.
Quite.
Yeah.
The moral of that story is I suck at doing that, so we're not going to do that this time. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Invite everyone, please come back, tell your friends, tell anybody that is a part of the Who Dat Nation that the Who Dat Nation begins under the dome. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Am I forgetting, Alan?
Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. On Thursdays, I try and do a flashback or throwback Thursday thing each week. I'm gonna do one for Atlanta. I didn't do one for the Jets because I could think of. I didn't really want to talk about like the 1980 team win and that kind of stuff. But I'll do a throwback Thursday thing on Under the Dome on Facebook. A lot of this stuff here, bad and ugly after the game on Sundays. Where I kind of break down what I saw, what I thought they did wrong, what I thought they did really well. And then what I thought was ugly last week. I thought the whole game was ugly. Hopefully the ugly part will be the idea that we may have to face the Falcons one more time in the playoffs because we beat them Sunday. But anyway, yes, follow us on Twitter. I am 79 Saints. Sean is Drew's dad. Am I correct with that one, Sean?
Say that again now.
Your Twitter.
I'm listening.
Twitter handle. Your Twitter handle
at Drew's dad.
There we go.
At Drew's dad 3721, and our main man, our director of media relations, Mr. at JB Pinto 3, John Pinto. He is the straw that serves the drink around here, and we're so thankful for him. And you can collectively, you can follow our Twitter show, which is under the dome. Excuse me, at Under the Dome PO1.
Absolutely.
I want to take this opportunity to once again thank you guys for joining us, but also on behalf of me and my family, Alan and his family, and our Under the Dome family as a whole, wish you all very Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, Happy whatever it is that you choose to call it. As long as you have your family and your friends near, that's all that matters, no matter what label you put on it. We hope that everyone has a safe and happy holiday season and finds their way right back here next Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yes. Go to the Saints game. Those of you who are going to the game, go to the Saints game. Yell like you haven't yelled before because you have all Christmas Day to recover. But we got to be loud. We have to be obnoxious. We have to disrupt that offense for the Falcons. We have to put the pressure on them. Give us back the dome field advantage. We are 6-1, I believe, in the dome this year. That's our second best record that we've had in the dome since 2011. We went 8-0, and 2013 when we went 8-0 in the dome. Let's make it 7-1. Let's show everybody that's why you don't want to play the Saints in the Superdome, because that crowd is loud, they're crazy, and they know when to make the noise and when to be quiet. So enjoy the game, everybody. We'll see you next time on Under the Dome. Good night, everybody.